at some of the Linux commands and veditor commands, and then move on to the Terraform code block where we'll be creating EC2 instance private key, and we'll be searching for the subnet ID and then use the subnet ID to create our EC2 instance in that particular subnet. Uh, I'll quickly share. Okay, I'll share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Is my font big enough to view it for you?
Yes, it's visible.
It's visible, right? Okay. I have modified few things, but I am yet to push these changes to the repository. You can download after the class this particular all docs DevOps and go to October 2024 and then the relevant date, and you can get the documentation. But for now, I'm doing it from my local. So what is the agenda for today? So we'll be looking at some of the basic Linux commands, some of the advanced commands like grep, find, and I've not mentioned here awk and set, that we'll see it later, maybe some other day. And what is absolute path? What is relative path? What are the different use of permissions in Linux? How to use grep and find? What are the different modes in VA editor? Insert mode and command mode. And similarly, on the Terraform side, we'll see how to fetch the subnet ID, how to create a private key, how to create security group, how to create an EC2 instance. In the end, we'll also have a quick Q&A session. Any questions with respect to the agenda? So the agenda for today's class is teach some of the fundamentals of Linux for DevOps engineering. So this is one of your fundamental learning that you need to be aware. For example, you are already aware of Git Bash, right? Anybody who has doubts why we are using Git Bash? Is it clear to all why we are using Git Bash? Zafi, Shweta, Tara.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Git Bash is a command line interface. It will act as a Linux machine. In Windows, we can access.
Right, exactly. So to make you more effective to work on a Linux command, to work with the Linux machines, uh, to make your day-to-day activities effective, efficient, you can use Git Bash. Irrespective of whether you are on Windows machine or Linux machine, you will be able to do everything from command line instead of rolling over the mouse and clicking something and then waiting for the page to load. Instead of that, you can do everything from command line. To interact with the remote machine, to log into the remote machine, what is the requirement? What is that you have? What is that you should have to log into remote EC2 machine?
Access key and secret key or the username and the.
Oh, okay. So to log into EC2 machine, you don't require access key and secret key, you require a private key. So clearly try to distinguish these things because I've seen this problem from almost all the students. See, in order to access AWS resources, be it S3 bucket or DS instance or EC2 instance, any resource you need access key and secret key. Whereas in order to log into an EC2 machine, you require only the private key. And you should have SSH client installed on your local machine. By default, when you install Get Bash, you will have the SSH client installed on your laptop. So you don't have to really worry about it. So any further clarity or questions on this? I'll go one by one. Vidya, are you clear on this?
Yeah, I understood now.
Okay. Zafi, Shweta,
Yes, sir, understood.
Yes, sir, understood.
Tara.
Yes.
Tara, is it clear? I mean, be frank. It's okay even if you have some doubts, we can get it clarified.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can go.
Is Santosh by any chance joined the call? Santosh, are you there? Okay. Sindhu, you have a clear idea of why we need, where we need access key and secret key, where we need private key.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mahesh, any questions from you?
No, sir.
Okay. One of the reason why we want to learn some of the Linux commands and editor commands is we will be mostly interacting from command line, not through console, not through GUI. So I'll go to that particular file and then show you few things. Any questions on the pwd ls command? One of you at least say, at least
No.
you may right.
No, PWD and LSA are only used right now.
PWD is to print the present working directory to understand where exactly you are so that you can make further decision. ls is a command to list all the files and directories, and dash a, that is an option. ls dash a, I mean every command should be separated for the options. After the dash, you should not give a space. So make sure you always understand this particular stuff. I see many people who are coming to Linux for the first time, they tend to give a space after dash. They tend to use ls-al like this. So this is absolutely wrong. So make sure you give a space between your command and the options that you are giving. After that, you can give LA or AL, anything is fine. It has no rule for which one to come first, which one to come last. L for long list, A for showing the hidden files, T is sort with the latest modified file. ls dash LAT will give you uh, file structure files in a detailed long listing with the first column starting with D mentions that it is a directory, starting with dash mentions that it is a file. So just try to make sure you understand this thing clearly. Whatever is listed in the first column with a D, that is a directory. Whatever is starting with the dash, that's a file. Can you understand what is this RWX?
Permissions.
Permission. Yeah. So default we have permissions like read, write, and execute is a special permission in Linux. You don't see that permission in Windows by default, but only on Linux machines you see the executable permission. That's a special permission because Linux supports shell scripting by default because it has bash uh, as a built-in shell. So that allows you to write and execute commands, and you can write scripts and execute them. Any questions so far?
What does T stand?
T, this one, right? You're asking about this T, right? ls-alt.
Yeah, T. T stands for
Time time, based on time sorting. Whatever file I modified based on the latest timestamp, it will list it down. So if you see, the latest modified was October 16. That is the current directory. Dot is a one directory back. So this you will have tough to understand, but I'll explain it later. The next thing is October 10, and then you see that it is going in the time-based sorting. October 10 shows the latest, and then third is the second. Like that, it goes in the direction. Okay, so you also see three different permissions, right? Read, write, execute, read dash execute, read dash execute. That is, first set of permissions is for the user. User means the user in which you are running, you logged into the system. Second one is the group. The same thing here. It's a group. You belong to a particular group, no matter how many users you create. He should be belonging to a particular group in Linux system. Third one is the others who are in the system. The permission for others, it is something similar to WhatsApp group. You can think about it. If you are part of a group, you can get to see what is happening within the group. And if you're not part of the group, you don't get to see what is happening within the group, right? Similarly, there are permissions that you can set it for the people who are not part of the particular group. Group means every user is part of a group. Some user may be part of one group, some user may be part of a different group. So if you're a user, if you're part of group 1, people who are from group 2, group 3, what are the permissions? That is what is the third permission. Any questions? Any questions from anyone?
Nothing from my side.
Okay. I'll move on to the other commands. CD is for change directory. You should be familiar with this one because whenever you want to move from one directory to another directory, you should use CD command. For example, if you want to move from, say, I'm in this code cloud VPC EC2 directory. If I want to go to DevOps folder, right? I can either do CD. If I do it this way, it is an obsolete path. So I'm explaining what is obsolete path, what is the relative path also in this. Whereas if I CD dash will take you to the previous working directory where I was there before. So if I do a PWD, you can see that I am in this particular directory. So if I want to go to DevOps folder, again, there is a way. So I see that one directory, two directory, I have to go back. So I can say cd // cd // This way also I can go back. So if I see PWD, this is exactly the same thing. And exactly even before that, I was also in the same directory. When I did a cd/users Shankar Apple export and DevOps. So this is the way to use obsolete path. This is a way to use relative path. It is something similar to, say, at your home, you're in the kitchen. If you want to go back to your living area, you just go back. Instead of that, if you come from the main gate, that is a obsolete path. If you go from the place wherever you are, go one step back and then go to the other room, that is called relative path. Any questions?
No, Shankar.
This one is very important because you have to have a clear understanding of what is obsolete path, what is relative path. Especially, Say for example, if I want to open a file, say from here, if I want to go to all docs DevOps, say readme.md, I can open this file like this, or I can open it after going to particular folder. That also I can do. All docs DevOps, I can also do it this way. So in order for you to be convenient, be comfortable, you should always understand where you are currently by typing pwd command, and then try to use tab command, tab key, to understand what are the other folders that you have in the current directory, or even if you want to go back and see, you can use tab to see what are the different folders or files you have. Then you can go to that particular directory or folder file and view that file. Say for example, if I want to go to Python from here, I can go to Python inside and then I can open one of the file like that. I'll move on to the next one.
Shankar, this tilde is the relative path, is it? The tilde that you have used.
Yeah, tilt is also kind of an obsolete path, because I mean we are trying to move from the home directory rather than a root directory. See, both are same. Only thing is we are trying to go from the home directory. If you put tilt symbol, that means you are directly calling the home directory. For example, your home directory will be echo dollar home. If you put it in your this one also, Windows also, you will see that echo dollar home will show you the home directory of your system. If I do a cd tilt, I'll be in the particular directory. Even if I do a cd, simply cd, that will take me to the home directory of the user whom I logged in. So you can give it a try at your system. Just make a note, cd tilt or cd, simply cd command would take you to the home directory of your system. So just make a note in your notepad so that you can give it a try.
Sure.
And whenever you want to access something from your home directory, it is always better to go from cd tilt slash, and then if you say downloads, it will go to that particular folder and it will be there. Say from here again, if you want to go to documents, cd tilt documents and then put ls. If you want to go to cd tilt export DevOps, you can do it this way also. So it becomes, see, initially it might feel a little tough or difficult to remember what is tilt and how do I use tilt. But over a period of time, you'll be comfortable doing it, because I mean, you'll never end up making any mistakes as long as you understand the file system, whatever you have, whatever the files and folders you have. Any more questions?
So the tilt refers to the absolute path, is what you're telling, right?
Tilt refers to?
Absolute path.
Yeah, it is referring to absolute path.
Okay.
Because we are trying to come from the root directory or the base directory of the system. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Any more questions? Okay, moving on to the copy command. Copy command, again, you have to be aware of how do you normally copy a file to another file system, another folder. So you usually use a source file, that means the file you are copying, and your destination. That is a default command for copy. I mean default options for copy. If you want to copy a directory, you should use -r. That is nothing but copying something recursively. Recursively means going one by one. Say for example, you have folders like say directory 1, under that you have directory 1 and directory 2, and then underneath you have file 1 and file 2, like that. If you want to copy, then you have to do a cp minus r. For example, if I see all docs DevOps, right? I see there are different folders and files inside. Inside that, I also have different files and folders. If I see, say October 24, so I have different files and folders. If I want to copy all docs DevOps, if I do it simply, it will definitely throw an error, because I mean you are trying to copy a directory which contains more than one directory or file inside. In that case, what you need to do is you need to do cp minus r, and this one to new underscore tab test, like that. If you do, it will copy all the contents to this particular folder, and it will create a copy of that. You can see that ls, this contains the same stuff exactly as the other one. I'll just go ahead and remove it. The rm minus rf command will remove recursively again whatever is there. So I'm removing the content that I just created. Okay. Any questions on this? Move is exactly same as copy. Only thing is it will move your current file or folder to a new folder. It will not keep the existing file or folder intact. It will just move from one folder to another folder. rm command, I just gave an example. That is to, if you want to remove a file, it is simply rm file name. If you want to remove a directory, you have to do rm-rf and then directory name. Cat is to view the content of the file. Make directory, you already know, it is to create directories, folders. If you run mkdir-p, it will ignore any file any folder which does not exist. Rather, it will create the directories for you, irrespective of how many folders that you want to create inside. So if I put this command, it will create all the directories for me. Say for example, I am currently in this folder. I don't have anything like export. So if I have to create export, I have to do it from this directory. I'll say export. You will say directory 1, you will say directory 2, you will say directory 3. I can also just remove this because I don't want to keep this. So like that you can do, you can run mkdir commands using -p option. That is to ignore any errors, any message that is coming up because the directory does not exist. rmdir is to remove empty directories, not for the directories with files. Simply rm command will remove the files, not the directories. Using rm-rf, you can remove the folder. Recursive, and f is force. Anybody used echo command so far? Echo is just like a print that you see in Python. It'll just print the message for you. Whereas if you use double quotes, it'll print, and also it'll put you the the variable name for you. Say for example, I'll put this in the different. Say for example, if you put it like this, it'll say $name is Shankar, because $name variable is already set in my env, that is defined as Shankar. So if I use the same thing with that single quote, it will not evaluate the value of the particular variable. $name is dollar means calling the variable value. So if I put single quotes, it will just say $name. So you should understand when to use double quotes, when to use single quotes. Any questions? Is it clear? Please.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sure. Okay. So one other thing that you may have to do sometimes is chmod command to change the permissions of the files that you will see slowly when you are logging into the EC2 machines and things like that. There are 3 different permissions. Uh, so in order for you to understand clearly, uh, so I'll give you one formula: read, write, execute, which is in the alphabetical order, right? Whereas the permission goes 4 to 1, descending order. So if you ever have a problem understanding what is the number for read, you should match it with the 4. What is the number for write? It is 2. What is the number for execute? It is 1. 4 to 1. So the permission goes like alphabetical order, whereas your permission number goes in the descending order. So like this, you should try to understand and match the permission with the number. The highest permission any file or folder can contain for the user, group, or others, it is 7. For a specific single particular user or group or others. For the total permission, you can have 777. That is all permissions for all users. All users means user and people who are in the group and people who are not in the group also will have all the permissions. Lowest permission is 0, and similarly for all also you can, for everyone you can have 0, 0, 0, the lowest permission, but nobody will have access to any of the stuff. Most of the times we'll set these permissions as a root user. Permissions will be set by a root user or the owner of the file. Chown command is to change the ownership of the file or folder. So that is slightly the next level. Remind me to cover it up the next class, because say for example, if you see ls-el, you will see user, this is group. We can change the user and group in which this particular directory or this particular file belongs to. So like that also we can do. That we will see only when that particular use case or scenario comes into picture. Okay. Any questions for this particular section?
Shankar, I have one question.
Yes.
You have informed that 777 will be the full highest permissions and 000 will be the lowest permission. While giving the read access also, we will keep the 3 times 4, right? Why?
While giving read permission,
we will enter the chmod 3 times 4 we will give, right?
see, read permission is the lowest permission that we give, right?
Correct.
See, lowest permission 0, 0, 0, it doesn't make sense most of the times. Say for example, if you give chmod 400, that means read for owner, no permission for group, people, and others. So this is the best way if you want to restrict other people to read your file. If you want to give all the people read permission, say for example it is your payslip, right? What do you want to do? Even if you give a read access, they will be able to read the file and then see you how much salary you're drawing. So in that case, you are supposed to give 400. Say for example, it is your resume that you want to share it to people. You can give 444. Or if you want to allow people to change the file, you can say read and write will be 5, right? Sorry, 6, 7, 6, 6. You can give it. You can give read and write access to them so that they can modify it. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, it's clear.
Usually, if you want to give permission, you give 4, 5, or 6, or 7. If you don't want to give permission, you can say 0, 0. But if you don't have any permission for the user itself, the owner itself, you will not be able to do anything. But you still have a chance to change the permission at any point in time, since you are the owner.
Okay.
Okay, so these are all the fundamental commands or some understanding that you need to have to work on a Linux machine. Apart from that, you also need to learn grep command, find command, some of the commands like df, du, top, netstat. So I'll give a quick overview of what is grep command. Grep is to search for a pattern inside a file system. For example, say I have this folder. Sorry, I have this folder. Um, I want to see where and all I have EC2 AWS underscore instance. Say if I say grep dash capital R is a recursive option, recursive way to search. If I search for AWS underscore instance under the current directory, say AWS dash TF GitLab dash EC2. So here, if I want to search all the files, and it'll show me the matching for this particular AWS underscore instance string. So you can see that it is showing the matching in these particular files. So the file name is main.tf. What is the line it is matching that it shows. Say instead, if you want to search inside only one particular file, don't put this one, and you can say EC2, say main.tf, ubuntu.tf. So it will show you exactly where exactly the matching is there. You can also simply use grep-l, which will show you only the file in which the matching is there. If the matching is there in this file, it will show you. Say for example, there is no matching. Say simply I put extra character. It doesn't show there is a matching for this particular string. So like that, grep can be used so that whatever string that you're searching, without opening the file, you can see whether that information is present there or not. Grep is nothing but a search pattern, searching for a particular pattern within a file or within a folder. At the same time, there is a find command that is slightly difficult. Say if you want to go from the current directory, if you are searching for a particular file, say star.tf, whatever file extension which has star.tf means any file which is ending with .tf, it will show you all the files wherever it is available. So like that, you can search for a file which is containing a particular extension. You may have to do some homework to understand some of the grep and find commands. I don't want you to understand right away. All of other commands I'll skip for now. We'll do it later. Du is to check disk usage. Df is to check your how much disk is free. Say for example, df-h will show you what is the file system, what is the different size in your system, how much is occupied, how much is free, like that. And out of that, if you want to see how much disk space you have utilizing for a particular see all docs DevOps. If you put the star in the end, it will find out how much is the size in MB. So SM is nothing but it is showing in the MB megabytes. These commands you may require it at a later stage, not at the initial stage, not while you're learning DevOps, but once you enter into probably once you apply for jobs, you may need to go through some of these things to understand how to use these commands in real time. Any questions?
No.
Okay, I'm going ahead with the absolute path and relative path that I have already explained. It specifies the file or directory location from the root directory or the home directory. You can also think it is from the home directory also. It is always same regardless of your current directory location. So we are trying to go from the main gate, right? In the main folder, root folder. So that folder structure is not going to vary anytime. So for example, if you want to open file.txt, which is in the documents folder, you can say home user documents file.txt like that. Relative path, from your current location, you are trying to access that particular file or go to that particular directory or open particular file. That is using either simply a dot slash. Dot means from the current directory. Double dot means going back to one directory. From there you are trying to access the file. The user management I already clearly explained. These commands I'll explain it later. We'll not focus on user add password, user mod, user delete and all. If you have an understanding about what is the permissions, read, write, execute, and what are the numbers for 4 to 1, that is more than enough for you at this point. Grep and find I already gave an example. So moving on to the VA editor commands. So what are the two different modes in VA editor? Can Zafi, Shweta tell me? What are the two different modes?
Insert mode.
The command mode. To go to insert mode, you have to press small I or a capital I or small O. I mean O for O, like that, or small a, capital A. So all of these will put you into the insert mode. But only thing is where your cursor will be there. That is very important. See, it will be the cursor will be the current position. Sorry. Oh, shit, I closed without saving. So I is from the current position of your cursor, capital I at the beginning of the line, whereas A means append means one character from your one cursor position from your one cursor position next to your cursor position, current cursor position. Capital A will be at the end of the line. O will be end of the next line. Similarly, capital O will be also similar. I mean, end of the next line. Once you go to insert mode, after you finish your editing and insert whatever you want to do, you have to press escape to come to the command mode. Once you come to the command mode, you will see that you can save the changes, you can quit the file, you can save and quit the file, or you can quit file without saving. That is also :Q exclamation mark to forcefully quit your file. U for undo, if you put a slash and search for a pattern, it will search for you and then show you exactly where there is a match. DD for deleting a line. If you put 5DD, 6DD, 6 lines will be deleted from the cursor position. If you want to repeat that command, you can put a dot. Being in the command mode, dot will again repeat whatever you executed last. That is something like it is in the cache. From the cache, it will execute that last executed command. YY is for copy. Whatever you copied, you can paste it using P option. Whatever you delete, that also you can paste using the P command. So I would suggest you to go back and then practice some of these commands in the command mode in V editor. Any questions?
I want to copy the multiple lines.
Yeah, so I'll show you. Say, for example, if I go to this one, if I go to main.tf, say my cursor position is here, fetch subnet, right? Say if I want to copy, or sorry, say 5 lines, 5 YY. In the bottom, you can see 5 lines yanked. It has to be continuous. 5 YY means you have to press 5 YY continuously. 5 and then YY. You should not give. You should not go into insert mode. You should not do any other thing. You should press it continuously 5 and then YY. Number 5 and YY. Now, what I need to do is if I want to paste it, I can do P. So you can see that 5 lines have been yanked and pasted again. If I repeat dot, if I put a dot again, sorry, I put a P. If you put a dot also, it will keep on pasting the lines copied. If I press U, I'm currently doing undo. At the last, when you do undo, you will see it is already at the oldest change. You are at the oldest change because you have done undo after your changes.
But these lines we now you have calculated manually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of that, can we give the numberings or there?
Numbering also you can do, but the problem is, I mean, it is again more difficult. If you want to see what are the numbers, what are the line numbers, you can put :set nu. So this will temporarily set the line numbers for you so that you understand which line number you are copying. Say, for example, from 10 to 15, if you want to copy, you can say from the cursor position 6YY. You can paste like this. So 6 lines you can copy and paste. Okay. Any more questions from anyone? Now, what you guys can do is, all of you can go ahead and then update your repository in your local machine. You have done a git clone of my repository, right? Or not yet? See this one. I'll paste this information here. Can you all do a git clone? In your, you do a CD, export DevOps first, and then do a git clone. I'll stop the recording for now because we almost finished whatever needs to be covered for today. Any questions from anyone before I stop the recording?